Well, hello there, gorgeous. Welcome to Erin G. I'm Erin, and today we are going to talk about my top 5 tips that I've learned since starting my yoga practice. So get comfortable, grab yourself a cuppa, maybe some kind of snack, and let's have a chat about it. So my experience with yoga, or when I first started, which was a while ago, I didn't actually really know what to expect. I knew that we would be doing some really good flows and stretching the body and, the occasional sweat. But besides that, I really wasn't sure what was going to happen. And I think I was very fortunate as far as my first experience, because it was based in a lovely room. It was dimly lit. We were all sort of, kind of kept to ourselves. It was our own personal practice. And my teacher, she was amazing. She sort of, emphasized so many parts of what yoga is and what it isn't. And that's really how I sort of came to really wanting to teach yoga as well and share it around as much as possible. But I want to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned, as I've kind of grown into yoga and practiced it more and more. And I've got top 5. We're going to start with just top 5. I'm sure I'm going to add on to that as I continue this amazing journey. So the first thing that I find is so important is when you go about your yoga practice, don't compare yourself. I know it's easier said than done, and especially when you are following an online regime and, you're looking at, the teacher, the person who is helping you through the flow, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, look at the body structure, look at how well they flow into it, look at how they can talk and do it at the same time. Look how not out of breath they are. Yeah. And so it's very easy when you're doing your yoga practice and you're watching that, and, that self-doubt can creep in, and yeah, you start to not feel like you are as legitimate, and, possibly that whole idea of, like a fraud can kind of creep its way in as well, which is not nice. So that's one of my tips. I think it's so important for you to realize that your body is so unique and so beautiful that it's a shame if you keep comparing it to what this other person can do. And not just the teacher, but your students around you. If you're in sort of like a physical class, don't worry, it's their practice, it's your practice, it's all good. And I personally, I had to learn that too. So these things that I'm talking about isn't like me coming from like a guru ridiculous position. These are things that I've personally gone through as well. So that was one of those for me when I started out with yoga. Following on from talking about, that your body is so unique and beautiful, my number 2 is to really get comfortable with your kinks, the parts of the body that might be a little bit different compared to other people's bodies. So for instance, I have been diagnosed with scoliosis, which is an abnormal curvature of the spine. So there are certain poses that I struggle with, not like getting into, yes, and also maintaining, and also looking like everybody else, which is not possible. It's not going to happen. So yeah, that's just something that is me. That's my body. And I have, I have a really weird tailbone. It's sort of, rather than it kind of going nicely down and then sort of curving nicely in, it curves to the side. It actually curves to my right. I do believe that I might have broken it when I was in high school. So it has healed, but it hasn't healed where it should have healed. With that, boat pose is pretty tricky, like I can stay in it for a little while, but it's quite uncomfortable. And so, there's things that I have to do to ensure that I'm protecting that part of my body. And then there's all like the other things, sort of like tense shoulders on some days. Sometimes my hips are just incredibly tight. Hamstrings, sometimes they're a little bit tight as well. So again, these are just parts of the body. They're kinks. We've got to work through the kinks. We've got to work with them. And that's just what makes our bodies so unique and so beautiful. So embrace those kinks. It's okay. What I love about yoga is that there are always options to do. So you might not be able to get into a particular pose right away, or you might not even be able to do it as, what they would class as the normal pose, but that's okay. It's all good. We can work through different options so that you still get a very similar result, like a similar benefit. Yeah. So as we flow on from talking about the body, my number 3 tip is to get super comfortable with props. When I first started, I was, when you look back, you're like, oh my gosh, why was I like that? I was just like against using props. I was just thinking, no, I've got this. My body can do this. It's fine. And almost like an egotistical thing of that, you use props and you're weak, that kind of BS. So I'm definitely not like that anymore. I love props. I think props are fantastic. So what I mean by that is, blocks, straps, blankets, bolsters, all those juicy, juicy props that can really help you kind of get so much more out of each particular pose. So again, when we were talking about options, that means that you can do all of these different poses with the help of props. So you can still get the benefit, and it's wonderful. And it doesn't mean that you're weak. Oh my gosh, I can't stress that enough. It has nothing to do with that. What it really means by you using props is that you are practicing some self-love, self-care. You are recognizing that, hey, your body is just a certain way that is beautiful. And these props are just sort of like a lending hand. Yeah, I like that. A lending hand. Tip number 4. Again, this was another lesson that I learned is Shavasana is absolutely crucial. So Shavasana is also known as corpse pose. You generally find that this is the last pose out of a vinyasa, hatha, most style of yoga. And it seems like such a simple pose. And so when I was first starting and the teacher was getting us to lie down and, we'd gone through the class and I'm just lying there and I'm sort of thinking, is this really beneficial? Like, is it really doing anything? Do I really need to be doing this? Can I just kind of get up and walk out of the class? Oh, again, you look back and you're like, really? No, Shavasana, in my opinion, and I know that I'm not alone in this, is the most crucial pose because you've gone through such hard work, you've tuned into your body, you've given it some feedback, it's given you some feedback. And then when you're lying down and you're just allowing your body to settle, that's when everything that you've done throughout the class, the flow, integrates into the body, the mind, and the spirit. And it's just such a beautiful time to just not do anything and allow all of those benefits, just to kind of flow through into you. So do not poo-hoo Shavasana and don't just, put it to the side and go, no, that's not important. It's so important. Definitely do it. So tip number 5, my last tip, is to realize that yoga isn't just about asanas or breath work or even meditation. I mean, it definitely is a part of that for sure, but yoga is really a lifestyle. So yoga in Sanskrit is yoke, and that means union. And that's the union of your mind and your body and your spirit and universal connection. And we can come to that place, like we can unite those things while we're on the mat. Like it's absolutely possible. You're doing your asanas, you do a flow, you do your breath work, you do shavasana, and it all feels really good. And by you rolling out your mat, you're actually sort of, no matter what you do on the mat, whether you stay in shavasana the whole time, whatever it is, it still means that you are practicing self-care and self-love. And ultimately what that does is that helps you go about your day from a totally different perspective. Your vibration changes, that you're happier within yourself and you feel better within yourself. And then naturally that has this flow-on effect. What's going on internally will show up externally. So yoga might seem like this simple exercise practice, when really it's so much more than that. It's a lifestyle, and it's something that you will soon find out if you're kind of new to yoga, which is awesome. You'll soon find out just how wonderful this practice can be, and how necessary it is. For me personally, yoga has been, oh my gosh, it's helped me get through some really tough times. I would be a different person. I know I would be a different person if it weren't for yoga and to honor all parts of self and the good and the bad. Yeah. So that's it. That's my 5 top lessons that I have learned so far practicing yoga. I know that there's going to be like billions, but it's always good to kind of narrow it down. I hope you found this really beneficial. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that we can connect and I can share some more of these sorts of videos with you, and a bunch of other soul nourishing tools and inspiration as well. And please share the love by liking, like me. Like the video, share it with your friends and family, the people who you hold near and dear. And look, if you've got any comments that you want to share, if you would like to pass on some of your own wisdom about the things that you've learned from yoga or the things that you're looking forward to learning, please leave a comment. Love reading them, love communing with you. So yeah, it would be very much appreciated. All right, well, have a beautiful rest of your day. I'm sending you so much high vibes, lots of love. Mwah. I'll see you soon.